He never imagined that a Tuesday evening, the kind that starts ordinary and ends quietly, would turn into the day he'd face fire, fear, and the weight of a world he'd never been invited into. Carlos Rivera, a single dad and janitor at a modest downtown office building, was on his way home, thinking about his son's homework and the stack of bills waiting on the kitchen counter. Then came the screech of tires, the twisted metal, and the roar of flames. A car had crashed just ahead, smoke curling into the sky like a warning. Without thinking, he ran out. He saw her first through the haze, tangled in seatbelts, flames licking the edges of her sleek car, her expensive heels pinned against the dashboard. Everyone else froze, hesitant, staring in horror. But not him. His hands found the jagged metal, and he yanked with every ounce of strength he had, dragging her out before the fire consumed everything. She coughed, eyes wide, panicked, and then she looked at him. "I hate you," she said. Carlos stumbled back, stunned. She wasn't thanking him. She wasn't even grateful. She hated him. And yet, in that moment, he knew that pulling her from the car wasn't just about bravery, it was about showing his son that courage mattered more than comfort. Carlos Rivera's life wasn't glamorous. He worked long hours cleaning office floors, scrubbing toilets, and mopping hallways that smelled of disinfectant and stale coffee. At home, he juggled his son Mateo's schoolwork, meals, and bedtime stories. Every day was a balancing act, one misstep away from chaos. But Carlos never complained. He didn't have the luxury. Life had given him one thing worth everything, his son. That evening, he had finished his shift at the downtown tower, wiping down the lobby, vacuuming the halls, and checking that every door was locked. His mind was already at home, imagining Mateo's face lighting up when he saw the chocolate chip cookies he had baked earlier. But destiny had other plans. The crash was sudden, explosive, terrifying. Carlos saw a sleek black sedan smashed against a lamppost, smoke pouring from the engine. People screamed, scattered, too afraid to help. But Carlos didn't hesitate. His training wasn't military, and he wasn't a superhero. He was just a man who understood fear, because he lived with it every day. Fear of losing the only person who truly mattered to him. He didn't calculate the risk. He ran. The car's door was jammed, flames licking at the edges, but Carlos's determination overpowered hesitation. He pried open the mangled metal, pulled the woman free, and threw her onto the grass. She coughed, gasping, her designer blouse scorched, her heels ruined. And then she said something that made his heart sink. "I hate you." It wasn't a moment of gratitude. It wasn't a sigh of relief. It was anger, fear, and Carlos realized shock. She was used to people stepping aside, to privilege shielding her from danger. He had ripped her out of that safety, and she didn't know how to react. In the hospital, Carlos stayed at a distance, waiting for the doctors to stabilize her. When she was conscious, she avoided his eyes, frustrated that the man who saved her life didn't fit into her world. Her name was Vanessa Hale, CEO of a multinational company, accustomed to power, wealth, and obedience. Carlos had never met anyone like her, and yet, she was completely human now, vulnerable, shaken, and scared. The days that followed were difficult. Vanessa's pride clashed with the gratitude she couldn't articulate. She had been saved, yet she felt powerless, and that made her lash out. Carlos, meanwhile, returned to his life of janitorial work and parenting, carrying a quiet satisfaction. He hadn't saved her to be thanked, he had saved her because it was the right thing to do. And he had shown Mateo that courage wasn't about reward, it was about heart. Eventually, the walls began to crumble. Vanessa watched Carlos interact with his son, the way he carried Mateo's backpack, kissed his forehead, and stayed up late helping with algebra. She saw the bravery in him that went unnoticed by the world. And slowly, something unspoken shifted between them, not romance, not admiration, but understanding. She started to see him as a person, not just a savior or a janitor. One rainy afternoon, Vanessa approached him in the lobby, her expensive heels clicking against the wet tiles. "I owe you more than I can say," she whispered. "I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to thank someone like you." Carlos smiled, wiping a mop across the floor without stopping. "You don't owe me anything," he said. "Just, take care of yourself. That's thanks enough." By the time he returned home, Mateo ran into his arms, laughing. "Dad, you're my hero." Carlos hugged him tight, the chaos of the world melting away. Saving a life didn't make him a hero in society's eyes, but in his son's eyes, it made him the strongest man alive. The story of the burning car, the CEO, and the janitor became something bigger than news headlines. It became proof that bravery doesn't wear a suit, and heroism doesn't need recognition. Sometimes, the most profound impact we make is quiet, unseen, and deeply human. Carlos Rivera never needed thanks. He only needed to know that he had done the right thing, and that was enough. The fire left scars on Vanessa's car, on her ego, and on her perception of the world. But it also left a seed of humility, compassion, and respect. And for Carlos, the fire was just another reminder that life doesn't wait for convenience, privilege, or expectation. It waits for courage, for heart, for people willing to step in when no one else will.